You're listening to the Packernet Podcast Network.
You ever hear of test driving a phone network? Well, US Cellular is letting you test drive their nationwide 5G for free. Try out US Cellular wherever you have spotty service, your commute to work, that one spot in your house where your service dips. It's as easy as doing a little beep boop pop boop pop with your phone. That's the buttons, that's the noise they make. Anyways, test drive US Cellular's nationwide 5G coverage for free for 30 days. Just download the Try Us app. US Cellular, built for us. Terms apply. Visit uscellular.com/try us.
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Email us PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com. You can text us 865-658-5824. Join alongside Emilio in Tennessee. We got Tim live in Green Bay. We got Jacob in Wisconsin. Back to talk a little Packers this evening. We were in here just acting like a bunch of fools before the show went live. And I'm always scared to death that the show went live as we were acting fools. But luckily, we made it out again, guys. How we doing today, fellas?
Doing good. Definitely. Doing well.
Glad
to be here.
I know me and Emilio, we were talking about how about 10 o'clock this morning. Felt great. Breeze blowing. Kind of felt like the fall, right?
Yeah.
Nice all day. 11:30 hit, and it was like, what just happened, man? It got blistering hot. But I know we got people all over the place saying, though, it's let's see here. I think it was Mike Berry. Let me hit this comment real quick here. Jacob Mike Berry says, sipping Woodford Reserve with fire in the fireplace because of the chilly, wet weather conditions in Rhinelander today. Is that in Wisconsin, fellas? Is that right?
Yes.
I think you're muted, Jacob.
Oh,
yes.
Rhinelander.
Yes.
Rhinelander. Yeah.
Up north, Wisconsin. Yes.
A little north. Up there north.
Probably does get a little chilly and wet up there this time of year, right? Every now and again, just pop up. So, let's do this, man. Let's get this thing started off. I know Emilio, several other people reached out and said, hey, man, on Spotify, the podcast was in video form. You know, that was by design. It was like, all right, me and Ryan talked about it. Cool, let's check it out. I don't know if we can do that all the time because it took forever to upload that. With the system that we use, it was just a couple hamsters spinning that wheel, and I love the idea of it too. Like Emilio said, you can kind of stop and look at the graphic we're talking about on screen, but at the same time, if it takes 2 hours to get the audio out in podcast form, I think I'd rather just get the audio out quicker. You know what I mean? So we'll see. We may do it from time to time if I ain't got nothing going on. If Mandy's not breathing down my neck, I've got a marriage to protect here too. So we got a small window of time. A lot. You see the way Jacob snarled his nose when I said a marriage?
It's allergies. I love Mandy. Please don't tell her I said anything.
There you go. So let's do this, man. We got a few topics to dive into. What I thought we would hit on, we got an article from PFF talking about 5 offensive linemen positioned to break out in 2024. That's 5 offensive linemen across the entire NFL, one of which is a Packer. Kind of cool. We've also got another topic where it's the PFF had an article that says the 2024 NFL secondary rankings. So we'll kind of see where we rank there as far as secondary. Also, Paul Bretto had an awesome article talking about, I think it was 8 players set to break out this year. Was it set to break out? Who need to step up for the Packers in 2024? So kind of those guys that, hey, we expected more out of you. Really need them to live up to the hype. We'll hit on that one. And then we've also got linebacker unit rankings we'll hit on and some SIS data to go along with everything. Before we dive into it, do you guys want to hit on anything else right off the top before we jump into these articles? Jacob, you got anything that's been on your mind here lately?
Yes.
I'm excited. Let's hear it.
Does anybody know, did Greg Joseph get cut? I think I saw a clickbaity article that said that he did get cut. Is that a thing? I don't know if it's been official.
Well, yeah, Smitty.
Yeah, Smitty, hit us up. I guess I was curious because when I was reading a little blurb on him, I was surprised. It said that he had made, Greg Joseph, that is, had made over 15 50-yard plus kicks in the last season and a half. And it's like his numbers were pretty, like, I just don't understand why this guy can't find a home. Like, does he just stink? Is he foul?
Greg Joseph?
Greg Joseph.
Yeah, his numbers were, I think they were actually worse than Anders Carlson's last year. So Anders Carlson's, yeah, if I remember correctly. So With that being said, too, someone else I heard on another podcast, I won't name them. I don't want to put them on the spot, but they said they were annoyed by the fact that he talked about himself in third person as well. I was like, yeah.
He said Greg Joseph talks like,
yeah, like he was talking.
Greg Joseph makes the kick. Oh.
Yeah, Greg Joseph needs to focus on. I'm like, what in the world? I didn't hear it, but they were. I feel very confident that it was true. So that is always kind of a,
Told you guys. Told you. Anders is the man.
Tim running a victory lap real quick.
That's our kicker. It's our kicker.
All right.
Well, we'll see.
I've got something unless anybody else has something else.
No, go ahead, Tim. What you got, man?
Just something I sent you guys earlier from my Uncle Mike. Shout out to my Uncle Mike Bush. My Uncle Mike Bush, he's football royalty in Franklin, Wisconsin. So big shout out to my uncle and the Franklin Sabres out there. No, this is Wisconsin's own Justin Blazek, I believe is how you say his name. D lineman out of UW Platteville. Was just picked up and signed by the Cincinnati Bengals.
Nice.
And so big shout out to his coach, Coach Phil Michek. Coach Michek played in the NFL for the Vikings back in the late 80s and is now the D-line coach over at Platteville. So this is, one of these under-the-radar guys that's getting his first crack here in the NFL. And a name we should keep an eye on just on the periphery. So just wanted to show him some love, being a local Wisconsin kid going to the big show.
At first glance, Tim.
Thick.
Yeah, right. Right.
So I like that.
Right there.
That's a good signing for the Bengals there.
Yeah, absolutely. He tore it up at Platteville. I'm sure he's going to find success. He's a sleeper to make the team.
See, edge defender, Tim. What is he?
Looks D-end, I believe.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I was trying to see if he was on my draft board because I specifically remember hearing his name, but I don't think it was on the draft board. If I remember correctly, the Packers brung in some Wisconsin guys for workouts. I don't know if you guys remember that, but they had the coach in. It was either in-house or Goody might have went down there, but he was one of those guys that he wasn't expected to be drafted, but the Packers did work him out, if I remember correctly.
Tim, can you scroll down? Did you quick see that blurb, like his credentials or his accolades? Just right about there. It says, put together a fantastic career at UW Platteville that saw him earn multiple All-American and Defensive Player of the Year honors. Following the 2023 season, Blazek was named American Football Coaches Association, Associated Press, and D3Football.com's first-team All-American, along with Region Conference Defensive Player of the Year. How did he go on?
In the words of Chris Collinsworth, here's a guy.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool.
My man running right into the Cincinnati Bengals locker room. You know what I'm saying? What I'm talking about.
Love that.
That's good stuff, though, Tim. Appreciate you sharing that, man. And again, you never know which one of these guys are going to pop, right? I mean, the Packers have had a ton of undrafted free agents, obviously, that have had a lot of success over the years. I mean, key members of the team, key role players, especially in that Super Bowl year, right?
Yep.
I think, was Tramon Williams, am I thinking right? Tramon Williams, was he undrafted?
Yeah.
So he was undrafted. I remember Sam Shields, which he wasn't a part of the team during that, obviously, that run, but Sam Shields was an undrafted free agent that obviously did a lot of great things for the Packers, had a good little run there as well. So just cool to see these guys chasing their dreams. Because, guys, people think, oh, they made it to the league, they're set. No, that's not how it works, man. Yep. Like, these guys are not making a ton of money. You know, I think, what did they say, practice squad? What was I can't remember. I don't want to screw it up. But, like, I know the income on the practice squad is not a whole lot.
No, it's a couple thousand a week, I think, that they really.
It's something crazy, yeah. So, but anyway, just shout out to anybody who's chasing their dream like that, and it's not not easy, not falling into place, absolutely perfect. All right, let's jump into this first article. So again, this is from PFF, and the article says 5 offensive linemen positioned to break out in 2024: Rasheed Walker, Cam Jurgens, Peter Skoronski, and more. Was that a meow just now?
Yeah. Really?
Unbelievable. Anybody want to talk about it? Jacob, you got somebody tied up over
there?
That
was me. That was
you?
Mine. Mine knows to keep his mouth shut.
Yeah, I heard you push him off last night.
I did.
Oh, man. It's hilarious. All right, so Rasheed Walker on this list. Again, guys, we're talking about 5 offensive linemen in the entire NFL, and they're saying position to break out in 2024, okay? It says Rasheed Walker has already defied expectations. I would agree with that completely. Walker had has outstanding size, 6'6", 324 pounds, and posted just 2 below average PFF game grades as a pass blocker in his first season as a starter. He also on college tape had him humping someone, which was really cool, right? That was Rasheed, was it not? So yes. It's always fun to go back on that. We need just a quick clip of that, you know what I mean? Just to pop in real quick from time to time. But the article goes on to say, let me see if I can get it zoomed in any more for you guys. Here we go. The article goes on to say, perhaps the most under-the-radar candidate on this list, the 7th-round pick from the 2022 NFL Draft, earned the starting job for the Packers last season. Early in training camp, he looked like a major work in progress, but earned a solid overall grade of 66.3 and was particularly good in pass protection, 74.7, in his first year of starting action. The Packers drafted a tackle in the first round of the 2024 NFL Draft, Jordan Morgan, out of Arizona, but they have a history of drafting college tackles to play guard at the next level. Morgan could theoretically push Walker for the starting spot at left tackle, but he could just as conceivably kick inside to play guard, leaving Walker to develop in his second season starting. Walker has outstanding size, 6'6", 324 pounds, and posted just 2 below average PFF game grades as a pass blocker in his first season as a starter. He will be very good next season if he can continue his progression. If he can improve his run blocking, he could become outstanding. So I want to get your all's take initially, and then I've got some SIS data we want to pull up here, kind of compare Rasheed Walker to the rest of the tackles across the league. Anything you agree with, disagree with there? Did that trigger any thoughts on you guys?
I will say that it's becoming more and more, I don't want to say clear, but I'm starting to definitely put more eggs into the basket that Rasheed Walker is going to be our left tackle and that Jordan Morgan is going to slide over to right guard. I mean, that's my hope, because to me, it just seems like that you're not going to move Zach Tom. You're not going to do the last stint with Myers. You're going to make him see if he can play that position and any sort of success. And then obviously Jenkins, to me, I would like to see, and I guess that's whoever's the best guy to play that right guard position. But to me, I think that that Walker has completely played out of his mind for being a 7th rounder, and he deserves another crack to take that another jump. I just think that, like the article talks about, I mean, 66.3, what do we talk about all the time is that's a solid, if you have a rookie grade that's in the 60s, especially mid 60s, and you add in the fact that he actually was better at pass protection with a 74.7, which is pretty darn good. I'll take that for a first year rookie that was a 7th round guy that a lot of people didn't see had the footwork and all this kind of stuff. It makes me very intrigued. I'll say that.
No, definitely.
Yeah. I think he played well enough last season to certainly be in a position where it's his spot to lose, I guess you would say. I mean, it's going to be – he's got to go out there and earn it because there's a lot of young talent on that O-line that's been brought in. But I'm with Jacob here, man. I think I'd like to see him at left tackle. I feel like it's a better start for our O-line with him in the left tackle spot. And, if we got to move some other guys around, so be it. But Jordan Morgan, I think, is certainly versatile enough and talented enough to plug and play in multiple spots on the line, real similar to a guy like Elton Jenkins or a Zach Tom. So, you got your versatile linemen, and then you got your guys that are what I usually call bread and butter players. Your guys that are going to predominantly play one spot, maybe two on that O-line. And Rasheed Walker is clearly, he's a tackle. And if the left side is where he's stronger, and that makes us better on as an O-line, then I think that's where he should be playing, at least to get started. We'll see how camp goes,
Yeah,
definitely. I was looking at the PFF numbers. I mean, dude is right behind Braxton Jones, which is next on the list there. The difference in grades was Braxton was a 68.8 overall with a 70.8 pass blocking, 68.2 run blocking. Where like Jacob was saying, Rasheed was at a 74.7 pass blocking and a 56.3 run blocking. But I think for him to show up like that and perform, that's huge. Almost 1,000 snaps, consistency. He was out there. He didn't get hurt. He was knock on wood, and even coming into camp like this, Matt was saying, dude didn't bat an eye, didn't pout, didn't do any of that. Just put his head down and came to work. That's the only way to approach it.
He can block.
Dang right.
That's
He can block. All right, so here's some SIS data. on our boy Rasheed Walker. I went ahead and pulled this. So what I did, guys, I went to SIS Sports Information Solutions. A lot of teams use this data. 33rd team uses this data. They got some really cool metrics. But you guys know when it comes to offensive line, I talked about this yesterday, blown block percentage is huge for me because sometimes guys don't get to the point of attack, and that doesn't get counted as a blown block. It's just simply maybe the defense out-schemed the offensive line or the offensive line coach, the offensive scheme, from that perspective. So when you blow a block, it's like, okay, you got to the point of attack and you just whipped. You just did not complete your assignment, right? I think that's important. Consistency is absolutely huge in the NFL. So amongst left tackles last year with at least 400 snaps, because first of all, I want to say this about Rasheed Walker, 801 snaps. Guys, that's not easy to do. I mean, you look at this list, there's only of what is this, 10 through 23, so 13 left tackles. How many of them have more snaps than Rasheed Walker? What, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8? 8 of 13, right? So, I mean, this dude was like, and again, this is
getting thrown into the fire. Wow.
Yeah. And the fact that and that's the thing too, he missed the first game of the season because Bach obviously played against the Bears, right? So just really cool. Availability, accountability is absolutely huge. I think he shows he's strong in both of those categories. Now, when you look at blown block percentage, again, this is left tackles across the league. You can see we're picking up at the rank of 10th, okay? So Rasheed Walker in blown block percentage overall, all plays, okay? He actually comes in at the number 17 spot. So what does that mean? If you were simply saying that blown block percentage was the most important metric, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's one of my favorites. Then you would say, okay, he's kind of middle of the pack, starting left tackle is what that means, right? You're talking about availability, accountability, and then you got some consistency there. Now, can he be better? Absolutely. Let's dig a little bit deeper. Let's go to.
Can I say one thing on that?
Yeah.
Just real quick. I think that Rasheed Walker deserves all the respect because it's such a weird situation. You see him being, labeled as a guy that needs to prove it again, and he's a late round guy. Look at 2 spots behind him is Christian Darrisaw of the Vikings, who people say, oh, they found their left tackle. He's good to go. Don't have to worry about left tackle there at Minnesota for a while. So that to me is just a little bit weird. And look, a couple spots or one more spot after that, Taylor Decker from the Lions. He's a strong left tackle. Don't need to do anything. Like, to me, we need to give more respect on Rasheed Walker's name.
Well, that's it. Those you mentioned, Jacob, all drafted in the first round. Where was Rasheed taken?
7th.
Yeah,
he was at Marshall's, baby.
Yep, 250th pick.
So in other words, Goody's the man. Goody gets value. Goody finds value at all levels of the draft.
Thick.
That's right. So let's move on a little more specific. Again, that was all pass or all blocking plays. Okay, let's go to pass block, blown block percentage. All right. Now you see he pretty much stays in the same spot, right around 17th, right behind Jake Matthews, right above Trent Brown, still above Christian Darrisaw, right? Now keep in mind, many people say and believe that pass blocking is his strength, right? When it comes to blown block percentage and playing more consistently, not bad. You're kind of the middle of the pack of starting left tackles. Pretty decent grade there, right? Or a pretty decent statistic, I should say. Check this out. When we go to run blocking, blown block percentage, minimum 400 snaps, our boy jumps to 6th.
Wow.
At only 1.6% blown block percentage. I immediately went back to that play in college when he was humping old boy. Because I'm pretty sure that was a running play, if I remember correctly, where he pancaked.
Just the tip, though.
So pretty cool, man. This is why I love doing these off-season exercises. This caught me off guard. Because I expected it to be the opposite. I expected his pass blocking to be kind of top 10 and his run blocking to be, maybe 20th or later. Guy's 6th in the league. Pretty darn impressive considering it's a minimum of 400 snaps as well. So this isn't a small sample size. But, just get your take on that. Did that catch anybody else off guard or was that just me?
Totally. Yeah.
Go ahead, Jacob.
No, sorry. I was just like Clayton said, I just kind of had him kind of peg-hold as a guy that's, he's decent at run blocking, but he's really great at the pass protection kind of thing. And I don't know, man. You again look at the group that he's around there. Tristan Wirfs is just a couple spots in front of him. Braxton Jones, Trent Brown, Laramie Tunzel. I mean, those are Rashawn Slater. That's top of the top right there.
Right. Yep. My Lotta, everything. All I was saying was looking at his PFF grade of a 56.3 for run blocking, and that doesn't correlate with the blown blocks. But you take those two numbers and you say, we want to project this outward. If the dude keeps improving, that's a great sign. We'll get that number up. We'll get him over 60, and we'll be on our way.
Definitely. Tim, anything?
No, nothing on that. Sorry, I got distracted. I got a phone call. I apologize.
Oh, you're good, man. Everything all right?
Yeah, all good.
Is that your broker?
No, that's kind of. That's my pop. Hey, Pops, I'm on YouTube. I'll call you back.
Yeah, I love it. I've been notified here lately that my family's been watching. Kind of cool. So if you guys get any redneck going on in the chat there, they're my peeps. All right, they're watching. As soon as they put their heads together and figure out how to type in the chat, it's over. I'm just going to tell you right now. So.
I tried this one chili and it set my mouth on fire, and I had to drink a 2-liter of Mountain Dew.
Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. My son started collecting football cards. I had no idea what the heck I was doing, so I went out and bought him one of those binders you put all the cards in and all that kind of stuff. Turns out, card collecting has come a long way since when I was a kid, and that's what people did. Now, there is a new way to buy, sell, and trade cards. It's called Arena Club. Whether you're buying, selling, trading, or displaying, Arena Club is the all-in-one trading card platform that you have to sign up for. Over at arenaclub.com/packdaddy. We actually did a whole YouTube video about this. I would encourage you to check it out. It is a fantastic website. You can, as I said, you can buy, trade, sell, but also you can display all of your cards right there on the platform. It gives you all of the grading. They'll even grade your cards. Their grading combines AI as well as human grading to get the most accurate grading of all your cards. And right now, you can get 10% off your first purchase by going to arenaclub.com/packdaddy. That's arenaclub.com/packdaddy for 10% off your first purchase. You ever hear of test driving a phone network? Well, US Cellular is letting you test drive their nationwide 5G for free. Try out US Cellular wherever you have spotty service, your commute to work, that one spot in your house where your service dips. It's as easy as doing a little beep boop pop boop pop with your phone. That's the buttons. That's the noise they make. Anyways, test drive US Cellular's nationwide 5G coverage for free for 30 days. Just download the Try Us app. US Cellular, built for us. Terms apply. Visit uscellular.com/tryus.
You're a podcast listener, and this is a podcast ad. Reach great listeners like yourself with podcast advertising from Lips and Ads. Choose from hundreds of top podcasts offering host endorsements, or run a reproduced ad like this one across thousands of shows to reach your target audience with Lips and Ads. Go to lipsandads.com now. That's LIBSYN ads.com.
I love it. That dude looks like he needs more than Mountain Dew, man. He needs to get into the Crisco a little bit, put some weight on them bones, man. So, anyway,
he looks like he got into a tin of Copenhagen. That's what it looks
it does. He's got the ring on the back pocket. No doubt about it, bro. No doubt about it. So he had that ring on his back pocket about the age of 9. So that, again, just wanted to kind of hit on Rasheed Walker a little bit. So you're hearing him getting kind of recognized at a national level now. People are talking about how good his pass blocking is. You go to some of the SIS data as far as consistency. He's actually a pretty decent run blocker. And we mentioned that too. Somebody in the chat here, I had a couple marked. Let me hit those real quick. We'll get caught up in the chat. Let's see. Right here, Ron Sample, Morgan left guard, Jenkins right guard, ? I kind of feel like it's the opposite. If based on the fact that Jordan Morgan played left tackle, left guard, right tackle in OTAs, let's assume that everyone's healthy. Zach Tom, the pec is healthy, right? He's good to go. Let's assume that everyone's healthy across the offensive line. The way I would like to see it shake out because you want as few moving parts as possible, right? So rather than make Elton move to right guard, not that he couldn't, the fact that they've already worked Jordan Morgan at right guard, I kind of feel like it should be Rasheed Walker, Elton Jenkins. Obviously, Josh Myers are going to give him another shot. You guys know I somewhat disagree with that, but it is what it is. I think Jordan Morgan should play right guard, Zach Tom at right tackle. Now, if Zach Tom isn't healthy, to me, it kind of feels like kick Jordan Morgan to right tackle, bring in Jacob Monk, maybe Sean Ryan. Maybe Jacob Monk can compete with Sean Ryan there. I'm hoping that Jacob Monk leapfrogs Sean Ryan on that depth chart for sure. Because if you hit on Jacob Monk the way some people think that we did, I think it could be absolutely huge. Reef in the chat said Walker has more game experience. I agree. There you go. Let's see here. He also, Ron Sample says competition may bring out the best in Walker. I guarantee you, and I loved how he handled it too. I don't remember the exact quote, but he just very, very casually was just like very minimal on the Jordan Morgan draft. Like he wasn't worried about it. He's going to come in and get the work done, right?
Not like he didn't battle out with Yash trying to make a spot, he got rotated during games.
That's one of the things about Rasheed Walker, not just as a player, but just as a man, as a dude. He's not a guy that's phased easily. Like nothing really. It's hard to like get him off his game. You know what I mean? He's real focused kind of. He's almost like the Rashawn Gary of the O-line. Honestly, the way he approaches things. If you spend time around the facility at all and just get to camp this year, if you're out there, anyone that's going to be in town, just keep your eye on Rasheed Walker and his preparation and the way he approaches his game and his craft. He's not going to buy into nonsense. 0 days since our last nonsense on this show, but it's probably been a few years since the last nonsense for Rasheed Walker. So definitely like him. And I also agree with you, Clayton. I like the idea of, keeping Big E at the left guard position. I don't think we move him around. I think we've got enough young talent that we can, juggle around on that O-line and keep that left side, kind of as solid as it has been. If it's not broke, don't fix it,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so like Ron Sample said, competition may bring out the best in Walker. I think it's a great comment there. Angus McHaggis says Zach Tom, Sean Ryan, and Walker, all from the 2022 draft class and all starters as of right now. Nice hit percentage. That's a great point. Whether you like Sean Ryan or not, this coaching staff seems to see him as one of the front runners for the right guard position, right? So it does kind of feel like you hit on all three of those guys at the offensive line spot. I mean, Zach Tom was what, the fourth or fifth round pick, right? Emilio, am I thinking right?
Fourth?
Is he the fourth or fifth?
2 seconds.
Not sure. Emilio's on it. Look that up, Jamie.
Fourth, 140.
140th pick. So Zach Tom knocked it out of the park. Rasheed Walker, 7th round pick, and like Ron Sample said here, middle of the pack is actually pretty good for a first year starter, right?
Really good.
Absolutely, especially a 7th round pick, man. And again, the signs were always there with the humping video. There's no doubt about it. So Turtles in the chat said, I got Donovan Jennings making the roster over Dillard. That would be awesome. That would be absolutely awesome because him being an undrafted free agent, I don't know the rules right offhand, but there is some restricted aspects to his free agency with him being an undrafted free agent. It's like the Packers have restricted free agent rights or it's exclusive rights, whatever it may be. So with Dillard, if he comes out and let's say he performs at a decent level, right, and he goes on in his free agency, he's probably going to, kind of bid himself out of our market. But with Donovan Jennings, you've got rights to him for, 1, 2, 3 years, whatever it may be with the way free agency lines up. That's, to me, that's the guy you want to beat out Dillard for sure. Now we'll see if he can, right? It seemed like Donovan Jennings was the guy when we went and watched the tape, watched the highlights, I should say, immediately following the draft. I kind of looked at him like I wasn't as impressed, but the Packers sure love him, man. They like him a lot. So that's obviously that's all that matters. Let's see here what else we got. Earlier, United Bates, appreciate you, buddy. He said 12,500 weekly.
I said a couple thousand. I was way off. I was off by like 10 grand. Holy cow! Let me.
Jacob, you really could sign me up.
I'm gonna stretch that kicking leg real quick.
You realize you're the tackling dummy, right, Jacob?
Do whatever you want to me, dude. You can Rasheed Walker me if you want to. I'll just get that 12K and be like, sorry.
Rasheed Walker, man, God almighty. What is going on?
You're an amazing person. You know that, don't you?
Who was rushing on you, Jacob? Who was the DN that was rushing on you?
I don't care. Whatever, dude.
I thought you were going to walk right into that one. Never mind.
AFAM in the chat says, Eric thinks fast food is hitting a deer at 65 mile an hour. I love it.
I'm trying to keep it together, Emilio. Don't Brenton Cox Jr. me right now.
Please don't get that started again. My God, Jacob. I got us canceled, bro. The one time we put the pod up in video form, you over here, never mind. It don't matter. Let's go on to the next article. So PFF also had an article that said 2024 NFL secondary rankings. New York Jets, San Francisco 49ers take the top spots. So as we scroll down here, we'll read them off real quick because the Packers aren't too far down. They got the Jets at number 1 as far as secondary. Number 2 is the San Francisco 49ers. People see that and they might get a little angry, right? That's a good thing for us because our best guesstimate on what Jeff Hafley's defense is going to look like is the Jets and the Niners. So the fact that their secondary is so good, yes, you can look at it and go, no, they've just got great players. And I think they do. But also, you can have great players and not be ranked high because the scheme isn't successful, right? In this case, it's a pretty good sign that Jeff Hafley, if he just comes in and copycats what the New York Jets and the San Francisco 49ers do, it's really going to help catapult that secondary. I believe that. Number 3 is the Buffalo Bills. Number 4 is the Baltimore Ravens. Number 5 is the Miami Dolphins. Number 6 is the Cleveland Browns. Number 7 is the Seattle Seahawks. And number 8, you got your Green Bay Packers. It says recent free agency signing, Xavier McKinney earned a 91.2. I'm going to say it again, a 91.2 coverage grade in 2023. While Jair Alexander has proven to be a difference maker when he's fully healthy, the Packers also added safety Javon Bullard in the 2024 draft to help transform the safety room. The ranking might be a bit high on paper, but the talent of the top 3 should be able to elevate the group. So now you're starting to hear this secondary talk as a potential top 10 secondary. We all talked about last year when we looked at some of the analytics, some of the metrics, that the Packers their pass coverage grade actually dropped, right, last year under Joe Barry. So the run defense got slightly better. The pass defense got a little bit worse is basically what it came down to. So now you've got the Packers leapfrogging into as a top 10 secondary. Gets me really excited about what the future might hold for these players here, especially like I said, Xavier McKinney. If Jair Alexander is rejuvenated and the injury is completely gone, he's fully healthy and ready to lower his head and actually hit people now. Javon Bullard, I'm excited about Xavier McKinney. But if they hit on Javon Bullard, and what I mean by hit, if what we've seen on tape from Georgia translates to the NFL level, he's going to stretch these veterans. These veterans are going to see this kid playing with great leverage in the running game, playing schematically sound, being able to kick to the slot when he needs to. He can play spur safety. He can play robber. He can also play post safety. He could many times at Georgia, they would play a little quarter zone match. They play cover 3. I'm really excited.
He drives the golf cart. He brings the concessions in. He loads up the truck after the game. I mean, what does he not do?
And the big thing I had in my notes when we watched him on tape was he is a sticky tackler. It looks like Velcro when that dude arrives at the point of attack.
That's a Georgia Bulldog defense kind of thing, ain't it? That's the Auburn guys seem to just they will wrap up every time.
That's Kirby Smart, man. That's Kirby Smart down there. That's exactly what he does. Yeah, Ron Sample says Bullard is a meat missile. So you ever notice how all the perverted comments on the show were originated by the guy in the bottom left corner right now? You ever notice that? Is that fake?
I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
He said you are fake news. So what do you guys think about that secondary ranking? You feel like that's high, low, right where it needs to be? It seems like every time we dig into one of these rankings, I'm saying the same thing. I kind of feel like that's right where they need to be. But what do you guys think?
I think so. I mean, especially considering we haven't seen any of these guys play football together yet. You know, we've got a lot of new faces.
That's a great point.
Got a lot of new faces. There's a lot of merit to what you're saying about Bull, though. if that kid comes here and balls out as a rookie, this defense is going to take a gigantic step forward. And I think Drew D hit on it in the chat. He says Jair is going to be back with a vengeance this year. I believe that too. I think, Mr. Alexander responded well to that little issue we had last season. He came off the suspension and played probably his best ball for the remainder of the year since being suspended. I think he's got his head in the right place. Hopefully his body's cooperating with him a little bit more this year. If we get a healthy, Jair back there with, X and Javon Bullard, man, this secondary is huge. And we haven't even talked about some of the diamond in the rough guys that we have in that secondary, like Corey Ballantyne. We've got Kalen King, a 7th-round pick, who I believe could sneakily be really, really good in this defense. So
Stokes, Evan Williams, Ola Home Depot.
Yeah. Tell him, Jacob. Tell him. Secondary. Maybe, you know what? I take that back. No, we should be top 5 already. I don't like that. We should be at least number 5. No, I'm just...
Love it. Anything else you guys want to add to that real quick before I dive into a little bit of SIS data on that?
No, I like that. My only pushback on it would be in the top 50, we have 1 safety and 1 corner. You know what I mean? So grade wise, we need the young guys to play very well, right? So we're projecting it a little bit, but we do need them to play well for this to be that top 10 secondary that we need it to be. I think it's a great spot for them, but that they need to pull through. Bullard has to play, and all the young guys need to step up, because right now there are a lot of other teams I'm seeing and only 1 G in the 4th position for X, and then Jaws, kind of halfway down. So
definitely, Coach Lynn in the chat said, "I'm still worried about our nickel spot on our secondary. Hafley has to figure that out." Absolutely, and to me, what I would love to see, Coach, and I think we've talked about this before, I would love to see Javon Bullard kind of become our Brian Branch. That's your strong safety, your spur, if you will, in your base 4-3. And then when we go to 11, I would love for him to beat out Keyshawn Nixon for that slot spot, and simultaneously Oladapo beat out Anthony Johnson Jr. for the right to play strong safety in our nickel 4-2-5, right? That to me would be absolutely
because
awesome.
of the body type too, right? I mean,
yeah.
Oladipo is going to absolutely just be checking thunder,
I mean, isn't he kind of that's for a while we had that, what was it, the star position, and it was that kind of hybrid where we drafted guys like what was the poor kid's name that we drafted and just
poor kid
Tariq Carpenter.
Tariq Carpenter, exactly. All of a sudden we got a Home Depot who is literally like kind of cut from stone as being that, like you talked about, maybe that weird hybrid nickel / safety linebacker kind of guy that can float around. And like you talked about, man, if Bullard can shut down that slot, or I'm sorry, the nickel corner position, and like Tim talked about, we got Corey Ballantyne might be our best cornerback on the whole team. You know what I mean? Like, and nobody would really think about that. Like, you aren't going to get ESPN guys talking about Corey Ballantyne. You're not going to get, guys that aren't really deep diving. So who knows, man? It could be.
I think it's going to be a hell of a camp battle between Ballantyne and Stokes. I really do. I think Ballantyne will give him a run for his money. I really do. And they're going to bring out the best in each other. There's no doubt about that. Let's see what else we had in there in the chat. There was something else. Oh, here we go. Reef in the chat said, Woodson put the Packers DBs on the map, and McKinney sounds so similar. I completely agree. And as we were talking just a second ago, I kept thinking about how all of a sudden they're talking about Jair Alexander being a little more engaged, right? And a little more, all right, it's like he's got that dog back in him. That's what Terrell Buckley said the other day when we played that audio from another podcast. Former Packers DB, and he's been a coach ever since he left the league, hopped around to several different programs. I think he's coached a little bit at the NFL level as well. But Terrell Buckley was like, because they asked him, I think it was Homer that said, what's different about him? He said, that dog's back. He's healthy now. The shoulder's healthy. And, obviously he's been talking to people in that camp up there. So that gives you a lot of excitement there. And I remember the picture of them walking over to OTA practice, and it was Xavier McKinney and Jair Alexander. And what was so cool about that picture was Jair wasn't playing to the camera. You could tell him and X were like in serious conversation. If you get those two dudes on the same page, and one thing that hasn't been talked about a lot, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, someone in the chat may know more specifically, but I specifically remember, or at least this is how my mind remembers it. It could be incorrect. When Jair had his best year, he was playing from the offense's perspective. He was playing on the right side of the field. And now we switched him when we drafted Stokes. We pop him over to the left side of the field, and he hasn't been the same since. Now, it just so happens the injury happened about the same time. But I'm telling you, something that doesn't get talked about enough at the cornerback position, and Coach Lynn may be able to attest to this. When you talk wide receiver, you talk stride length, right? With corners, you talk dominant eye, meaning you've got one eye that's dominant over the other. And people think it doesn't matter. You know, great corners can play anywhere, don't get me wrong. But some corners, when you turn your hips and you're playing that sideline, whether it's a deep third in the cover 3 or you're playing, man coverage, you want your dominant eye to the receiver. Meaning if your dominant eye is away from him, then you're not seeing everything as clear when you're trying to mirror the receiver when you're running with him. And it sounds silly. It sounds so simple. But I've heard that that's really a thing, dominant eye. So it just hit me one day. I was like, am I the only one that thinks the best years that Jair had, he was actually playing on that side of the field? But go ahead, Jacob. You had something?
When you talk about is it a thing, I mean, as somebody that's been a hunter my whole life, I can't imagine just popping the other eye open, trying to aim, have the same type of sight line, all that kind of stuff. 100% that's true. And you talk about it, the more I would even think about it too, is like, people just think that if you're a tackle, you can play right tackle or left tackle. I know for a fact that that's sometimes a different jump to make. And if guys do make that jump easily, that means they're that good, because we talk about it all the time when guys come out, specifically at the tackle position, like, oh, he's definitely a right tackle. He doesn't have either the footwork or the coordination, the speed, whatever you want to call it, to make that left tackle works, because there's some difference there. And what I'd love to do is if, I don't know who has the time, but to go back in time and look at, like, if you could find out who's predominant, because usually your predominant eye will line up with your predominant hand. And if that's the case, I wonder how many, like you talked about, how many guys that are right eye dominant or on this side of the field.
I was going, that's right. Yeah.
I'd be interested to look at Eric Stokes under this lens. We talk about him having issues tracking the ball.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Where then you would look at the nickel position, and we need someone that's an athlete that can look both ways. You're going to be on either side of the field. I mean, even brushing your teeth with your opposite hand. I'm telling you, like,
hate that.
I can't even walk
to practice.
That sounds like serial killer stuff right there.
Hey, in all seriousness though, with Jair, this is his 7th season, right? We're going into year 7. I mean, 6.5. He got robbed there with the injury of pretty much an entire season a few years ago. But I think for him, you talk about the approach and the change in demeanor and attitude and focus. This is year 7, man. He knows that he's full on veteran status. All your years ahead of you in your career, whether you play another 5 years or another 2, you don't know. This league has a way of destroying guys' bodies. It's no secret. I think Ja wants a ring, and I think every guy in that locker room wants to bring Lombardi home. And if that means putting myself a little further down on the priority list and putting my teammates first, and Jair was always one of the guys that's, hey, I'm going to do my thing. You guys get with me, get with the program, follow my lead. I think Ja's becoming more of a, hey, where do you need me? What can I do to help? What role do I need to fill today? And be a leader among these men here in this locker room. So I think that's why you're seeing a new focus from Ja, and I think it's going to show in his play this year. I really do.
Absolutely. All right, I'm going to share the screen here. I just looked it up, and let's check this out, see if there's anything that kind of correlates with it. Let me pop this over so we can see it a little bit better. Give me just a second. I want to make sure that we can see this. I believe we can. All right, so his best year was 2020. That's when he graded out in the 90s, right? Check it out. Left corner. This is from the defense's perspective. Left corner, the majority of the time. Then he went right corner a couple games, probably filling in for somebody. Left corner. So they had him at the left corner position his best year of his career, right? So that was 2020. Again, if you go to the career grades, you can see right here, 2020, he graded out as a 90.5. So
those were Mike Pettin defenses, though, right?
2020 would have been
or 18 and 19. I'm saying his.
18 and 19, yeah.
Yeah.
So in 2020, it was left corner. Now, you see in 2021, he dipped to a 77, right? Let's see what we got in 2021. So he was so that's when he got hurt, right? Okay, so he was playing left corner. He only played in 4 games, so you can kind of throw that out, I guess. 2022, looky here, boys.
Ooh, I don't like that.
Right corner. Well, there may be something there.
Are we calling it left corner from the offense looking at the defense?
Defense's perspective.
Okay.
So he's on the left side. Yeah.
Okay.
So, in a traditional, really, it makes no sense to say Z, but the majority of the time, if you're in 11 personnel, you'll go slot left, strong right. Mm-hmm. So he would be covered in the Z predominantly.
Right. So it would be on a right-handed quarterback that, short side, exactly. Quick throw right. I got you.
And I remember the other day, I'm like, man, I remember him making those interceptions.
Yeah, right.
Falling out. And he was on that sideline making those plays, right? Mm-hmm. So, and again, this isn't nothing that the coaches haven't thought about. Like Coach Lynn said, it's definitely a real thing. Coaches know this. We're not like, oh, we figured it out. I'm looking at it going, I think it might have been more along the lines. When did Eric Stokes get drafted? Do we remember what year was that? Because everything's blurring together for me.
2020?
I wanted to say 19.
Was it 19? Was it really been that long?
It's crazy, dude.
We just declined
his fifth year option.
Let me pull it up 1 second.
So this is his 4th year. So it'd be 2020. Yeah. So, yeah. I guess that had nothing to do with them playing him at that. Well, actually, it would have, right? 2021, Eric Stokes thrust in, and all of a sudden.
2021, yeah. Wow.
They're putting him at right corner. They put Jair at right corner the year that our boy got drafted, right? Eric Stokes got drafted. So,
and that was the most we ever saw of Stokes in all his time was his rookie year.
So it might be something that dominant eye-wise, Jair Alexander's one of the best corners in the league. Hey, he can do it, but Stokes, his dominant eye suggests he should be left corner, right? That's probably more of that going on than the previous. So just wanted to kind of hit on that. It was interesting. That came to me the other day, and I just wanted to kind of, like I said, mention it real quick. So now this is what's cool. Back to McKinney. I pulled these statistics from SIS, okay? And what we did was minimum targets of 30, okay? Safeties across the National Football League. So they had to be targeted at least 30 times. And this is passer rating when targeted. Xavier McKinney was 3rd in the league. So 590 coverage snaps. He was targeted 37 times. The completion percentage was 56.8%. And his passer rating when targeted was 49.2. That was 3rd best in the league. Number 1, Kyle Hamilton. Number 2, Christian. How do you say that? Azine? Mm-hmm. I'd never heard that name. I'm like, that kid must be good. He must be pretty good. So anyway, Xavier McKinney, the 3rd best passer rating when targeted amongst safeties with 30 or more targets. So I'm telling you, man, if Goody hit on that free agent signing, it's going to change everything for the Green Bay Packers. It really is. That defense, Halfley, like I said before, I know Joe Barry's pissed somewhere. He's like, well, how are they going to bring in arguably the best safety in free agency? They're going to crap can me and then bring in the best. I had Savage back here the whole time. Yes. What the hell?
Yeah. Just here to tell you, Packers back.
You heard it from a fan.
You did hear it from a fan. All right, so we're at the 45-minute mark. We probably don't have time. That's when we jump into something we shouldn't, so let's do it anyway here. All right, so bang. This came in from Paul Bretto. 8 players who need to step up for the Packers in 2024. I want to key in on Quay Walker, who's on this list, but let's run through the list real quick, okay? Center Josh Myers, we all agree, right? Dude got to step up. He's playing for his career right now. I don't think the Packers like him as much as they say they do. In the media, they make it sound as if he's playing his best ball. I haven't heard any contract extension talks unless I've been living under a rock, but wish nothing but the best for the dude. But I'm hoping that Jacob Monk is the center of the future. That would be absolutely awesome if he is. Also on this list, cornerback Eric Stokes. We talked about that, right? Obviously. Mm-hmm. Also on this list, this is Coach Lynn, exactly what he was concerned about, right? Cornerback / kick return Keyshawn Nixon. Yep. Need him to pan out in the slot position, right? So Javon Bullard can play that true strong safety position. That would be ideal even in the nickel. Here's Quay Walker. This is the one I want to dive into. And again, he made this list and we're going to go to another article in just a second. Josh Jacobs, got to have Josh Jacobs this year. He doesn't have to be as good as Aaron Jones, but he's got to play somewhat similar. I think.
Do you think that Josh Jacobs was like the best offensive free agent signing in the past 20 years? This century, I think.
Think of it. Who was the best free agent signing on the offensive side of the ball for the Packers in the last 10 years? Who was it? Go, Jacob. Don't say Tyler Davis either.
Billy Turner, 2019.
Emilio might actually be right there.
He pulled it up.
If anything, though, you'd maybe go to who are the two tight ends we got that one time? Martellus Bennett.
1990.
We had Martellus Bennett, that experiment for a while. And remember, what was the other guy? Jared Cook, who had actually had a great year with us.
That's a good one.
We don't need you anymore. But besides that, on offense,
by the way, that's something that pissed Aaron Rodgers off too.
Right. That.
It should have. That made me mad.
I agree, man.
Especially since we had to watch Jared Cook go on and play really good ball for another couple of years after we let him go.
And it's like, okay, how did he perform in big games, Jacob? That Dallas game, bro.
I was just gonna say that he's on the highlight reel forever, and we just were like, we don't want to try him out next year. We're so good at the tight end position here in Green Bay.
Exactly. All right, next on the list is Christian Watson. Again, Christian Watson's on the field, the way that he can stretch the field, and I don't see him as that true number one that they roll coverage. I haven't seen that on tape yet, but those corners that are man up on him, whether he's playing the boundary X or the Z or he's doing some quick motion out of the flyer position, those corners are backpedaling first. They are not trying to get beat deep, and that's where that really opens up a lot of things. If you put him in the boundary X position and you run slot cross opposite side, and you stretch that corner out, and that safety that's playing post safety bends to that side just a touch, and I don't consider that bracket coverage. That's just simply him playing the deep shot. The things it opens up on that slot cross underneath with the whether it's a Y climb or it's a slot climb with a Z dig, it opens the entire middle of the field up if he's on the field. So I completely agree with this entire list so far. Sean Ryan. What if Sean Ryan comes out this year, guys, and he just grades out like 75 or higher at the guard position?
Mm-hmm.
Talk about a deep offensive line, dude. What'd you say, Jacob? No way.
No, I mean, I want it, please. I can't remember who it was that showed. Maybe it was Rodcott or one of the awesome dudes in the chat there that showed that. I forgot that Sean Ryan was picked in the third. We got Zach Tom in the fourth. So clearly they saw something in Nacho Libre, and he needs to come and throw that smackdown, you know? And it wasn't he like a wrestler too? So it's like we had all these high hopes for him that he had this kind of weird body control and a good base. And
we're going into year 3 with him, right?
I need to see something.
Third season. This is, it's like we talk about Stokes. We want Stokes to prove us wrong, right? On the defensive side of the ball. He's kind of that guy that it's like, we obviously we didn't, exercise the option with him. The writing's kind of on the wall with him. Sean Ryan going into year 3 here, if he takes a giant step forward, that would solve a lot of quote unquote issues that we're having on the right side of that O-line. If he can play some effective snaps at right guard and continue to improve, that it's just going to make us that much better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
And make cut day that much more difficult for the brass at 1265.
Definitely. And everybody in the chat, everybody's watching online, we appreciate you hanging out with us so much. Do us a quick favor. Just hit that like button. Just take a brief second, hit that like button. It helps more than you know. And again, we appreciate you making us a part of your evening here. Last or toward the bottom of the list here, Anders Carlson. It goes without saying. We've talked about that. If he improves his kicking. Now, again, you guys know as we went back and watched the tape, there was many times he missed a kick after Jordan Love took a sack that he shouldn't have, that made the kick much more difficult than it should have been, right? That goes hand in hand. But we got the holder position taken care of with Daniel Whelan. Let's get Anders Carlson just a little bit better this year. You probably win 1 or 2 more games if Anders Carlson ups his game just a notch, right?
Let's play such good ball that we're not relying on our kicker's leg to squeak out a win by 3 points or something. Let's go boat race these teams. Let's win by 3-4 scores, and we don't have to worry about our kicker.
That's a great point. And again, it's not to put the blame on anyone. It's just simply that would be awesome, right? That would be awesome if we could just pull him up just a touch, right? So the other thing I want to hit on, linebacker rankings. I know we're against the clock here. We're at the 51-minute mark. I want to get this in, though. 2024 NFL linebacker unit rankings. Jets and Niners take the top spot. So the Jets and the Niners are, once again, the same thing that applied to the second, or that applied to, I can't remember what it was we were talking about earlier, what position group it was. Was it the secondary? I think it might have been. The fact that the defense that we're most likely looking to mimic, those two defenses, not only they have the top two secondaries, but now they have the top two linebacking units. Pretty cool, right? Gives you a lot of hope for the future. So I'm going to scroll down the list here. Number 1, Jets. Number 2, Niners. Number 3, Bears. Number 4, Patriots. Number 5, Giants. Number 6, Baltimore Ravens. 7, Jaguars. 8, Browns. 9, Saints. 10, Vikings. People are going, where are the Packers? Hold on. It's coming. 11, Bills. 12, Chiefs. 13, Steelers. 14, Bengals. 15, Raiders. 16, Seahawks. 17, Commanders. 18, Carolina Panthers. 19, Cowboys. 20, Dolphins. 21, Texans. Jacob's getting mad down there. 22, Lions. 23, Bucks. 24, Falcons.
Bro, really?
25, Rams. 26, Colts. 27, Titans. 28, Broncos.
Jeez.
29. Now let's see what it says. 2 seasons into his NFL career, Quay Walker has yet to record a season-long 60.0 PFF grade. He displayed some positive signs in 2023, though, when his missed tackle percentage dropping from 10.1% as a rookie to 7.6%. So got a little bit better there. It's a second-round draft pick. Edgerrin Cooper looks set to start next to him. But as we know, playing linebacker in today's NFL as a rookie comes with a learning curve. So what I did was I pulled some SIS data because I kind of found myself going, you guys know I've been kind of down on Quay. Not like I don't think he's a bum by no stretch of the imagination, but I don't feel like the tackle stats tell the whole story. So I'm like, maybe I was wrong there. Maybe PFF's wrong here as well. So let's share the screen here on some SIS data that I pulled. And again, this is linebackers that I tried to pull, and this may look a little weird. Hopefully we can see it well enough. It's going to be hard to get everything in picture here. Let me try this real quick. We'll zoom in. I'll just have to scroll over. So when you look at how the linebackers are graded and how SIS does their data, this is so wonky how they get the double scrolling bar. I grabbed this real quick to explain what the key is here. All right. So we've got this key as a quick reference if we need it. I'll pull it up as we need it. All right. So one of the things that I wanted to hit on was
Bobby Wagner.
Oh, I know it, bro. Don't get me started.
Why did we get him?
I know it, man. I know. And granted, he did kind of, I don't want to say he broke the bank, but he did get a pretty good chunk of change, right?
God, what did he end up getting paid? Do you remember?
Well over the 2 million we were talking about, possibly.
Right. Yeah, we were going, hey, 4 million, we take him. It was way over that. Yeah.
He deserves it. He deserves it.
Oh, absolutely. Completely agree. So let's go points above average for Quay Walker. People are going, what the heck does points above average mean? I'm glad you asked. Let's pull it up real quick with the key here. Okay. It's kind of hard to read. You kill my camera. So points above average is the total of a player's EPA responsibility on run plays. This is strictly run statistics here, okay? On run plays using the total point system, that's the point system they use, much like PFF has their own system, that distributes credit among all players on the field for a given play with positive numbers being good. For run defense, that includes accounting for defenders in the box, blown blocks forced, broken tackles, turnovers, and turnover returns. Okay, so it's kind of a metric, points above average, just to show, all right, we can compare apples to apples across the league. Let's see where Quay comes into play here, okay? And again, right now, we are sorted by points above average, positive being better. Let's see where Quay Walker lands here. And this is strictly linebackers. So as we go down the list here, look at here. This is one of the positives doing this exercise. Isaiah McDuffie's 15th in the league at points above average, 5.26. That's worth noting.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Hafley, obviously, Isaiah McDuffie played linebacker for Jeff Hafley at Boston College. Keep that in your memory bank, all right? So let's go on down and see when the next Packer is. Rashawn Gary, again, he's listed as a linebacker simply because he was an outside linebacker in the 34, but we kind of consider him a defensive end now, but nonetheless, he's 22nd. This is, again, run defense, and it is points above average. Next on the list for the Packers is Preston Smith, outside linebacker as well, edge defender at 2.54. He is 36th in the league amongst linebackers. All right. Next is Kingsley Enagbare, another guy who plays edge defender. So you see, outside of Isaiah McDuffie, the linebacker play when it comes to points above average, which is totally separate from PFF and the grades they just mentioned, respectively, right, has got these guys down as well. Eric Wilson, 57, at 1.44. Mm-hmm. Let's go on down the list. Quay Walker is listed as 67th. Guys, when you're looking at linebackers here too, like inside linebackers, there's only two that's going to be on the field in your nickel defense. I hope he rebounds. But as I seen that list, I think I reacted the same way you guys did. I'm like, this is crazy that they think that their linebacker room's that bad. But again, when we watched the tape last year, you guys remember me over and over and over going, what are they doing? Why are they not attacking the ball? How many times did I show you guys in pass coverage? And pass coverage seems to be Quay's strength last year. How many times do you hear me go, who's he covering? Like he's just sitting in space with no one around him, right? So
that could be a scheme thing, right? I mean, if you're being told to cover an area, how do you explode and attack the ball?
When everyone else is playing zone match and it's a 2x3 empty set though, and he bends to the weak side, the 2 side rather than the 3 side, it's like, whoa.
So I think that you're right. That needs to improve this year in year 3. You're talking about adjustments. He's not adjusting as the play is developing.
Exactly. Now, Tim, go back to what Terrell Buckley said. Remember what he said? That Homer asked him, what's going to change this year under Halfley? And he said, he's going to coach the details of each position in the scheme. So guys are not confused on what they're supposed to do. So, and now here's the other thing. Go back to what Mark Chimura, Chewy, tight end for the Packers in the 90s, said on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy one morning, where he mentioned Jeff Halfley said at his presser, when he watched the tape, they played lazy defense. Yeah. To me, that felt like a shot across the bow to Quay Walker, like, hey, let's go, buddy. It's time to put your big boy pants on. We're going to attack the football. And what did they do? They go out and draft the first linebacker taken in the draft, if I remember correctly, right? First or second. Maybe it was the second. But you know what I'm saying? Maybe I'm looking too deep into it. But all those dots are starting to connect as if they're looking at it like, all right, we got to do something different. I'm not suggesting that Quay Walker's going to get benched, but if he plays the way he did last year, based off what I've seen on tape, based off what PFF's saying, based off what SIS data is showing, if he does the same thing he did last year, and you got Isaiah McDuffie, guys, that was sitting 15th, where was he at? Isaiah McDuffie, where was he at here on this list? He was real high. Yeah, 15th.
And McDuffie and Wilson were higher.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I'd even with him at 164 of those snaps, that's a perfect minimum. What was Quay at? 224. So I mean, give me over 125, and you'll get a real true reading of who's going to make that play on a consistent basis.
I got to defend my boy. I got to stick up for my boy. I truly believe that Coach Half in this 3-4 is going to, or this 4-3 is going to unlock Quay Walker this year.
Do you think, Tim?
We'll get full unadulterated Quay Walker, and third year for any player, any young player is usually a make or break year. Guys can have great rookie seasons; those can be flukes. You can have a first couple good years. You can have a bad first couple of years. Year 3, man, is when you really kind of come into your own. I still believe that. And I think new scheme, a coach, like you said, is going to coach up the details, like Terrell Buckley was talking about, coach up the details at each position within the scheme. I think a guy like Quay Walker with that type of direction, he's going to thrive in this scheme. I really believe it.
Yeah. It makes a big difference. Go ahead, Jake.
No, I was just going to ask Tim and obviously everybody, do you think that there's a realization or a realistic scenario where definitely either X grabs that green dot, frees up Quay to stop thinking so much over probably and here's another thing is that when we drafted Quay Walker, we were basically told, hey, this guy's just a physical freak. He needs to get molded. And so now here we are in year 3 being like, I wonder why he's not being because he's getting molded. And like Tim said, that year 3 jump, this is where he has to take that absolute hop, skip, and a jump because like Clayton said, we saw it in spurts. And he's like a lot of the young talent we have. We see it in spurts, but the consistency is the key. And when Clayton talks about how he's dropping into covering grass and he's not really being explosive. I want to see a meat missile out of Quay. All right. And I hope that means that if literally these three things happen, if we take the green dot away from him, we throw it over to X, if we get Edgerrin Cooper next to him that frees him up to be, violent, and we have an a defensive line that is actually now in a different kind of scheme, a different responsibilities. Guys are pinning their earbacks maybe a little bit more, that it frees him up to do different scenarios and different things. And I think that it's either going to be a perfect mixture of everything we wanted, or it's going to just be a poop fest.
Right. Jacob's saying,
yeah, our guys better wake up with their piss hot, like I said before. So
exactly right, Coach.
He's on the tray, rolling into the kiln, and Jacob's like, "You better get this squared away before my man goes through here, because if he comes out there and we don't have this hammered out, we're gonna have issues." And I think that this is the year, definitely.
Yeah, and immediately as we're having this conversation, my mind goes to, you guys remember Roquan Smith in Chicago, how he was hot booty cheeks? Not in a good way either. Not IG model hot booty cheeks. We're talking about hot booty cheeks. Yeah, bad hot booty cheeks, right? So
thick.
Think of him, and then he goes to Baltimore, and all of a sudden he's playing fast, and he's completely unlocked, and he was one of the best linebackers in the game. That could happen with Hafley coming in, right?
Somebody said that Roquan Smith was the best linebacker in the game the other day, and I was like, because I've been brainwashed by Ryan for the last 3 years. And don't get me wrong, Ryan was right for like the last 3.5, 4 or 5 years, whatever it was. And then, like you said, Clayton, all of a sudden he goes to and to be fair, if you're going to go to a place that you want to maybe grow as a linebacker, it's going to be Baltimore. It's going to be Baltimore. It's going to be, San Fran or something like that. So we saw it. We saw him take that jump. Oh, one other thing I got to bring up. It's a humble brag. I'm so sorry about it. But do you guys remember Luke Gadecki? I was listening to a podcast today. He was a guy that was from Stevens Point, Wisconsin. So he got drafted 2 years ago. I was really surprised that he went as high in the draft as he did. He was one of my sleepers for being one of the best offensive linemen just because he was a Wisconsin guy. He ended up going over to Central Michigan. He played his first year at Tampa Bay as the guard. Didn't really look that great, but he was swapped into playing a tackle position this last year, and he actually graded like a 75. People saying that he's going to be like my point on that was that he graded out almost exactly the same as Rasheed Walker in his second year when he made that jump. So my point is, like, we got to give Rasheed Walker more respect. Like, they're giving guys, and I read this article and they're like, Luke Gadecki is going to be the next, secure tackle for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for the next 10 years if they want to. And it's like, why don't we give Rasheed that kind of respect? I don't get that. It to me is a little bit crazy.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great point, man. So Roquan Smith, as we pointed out, check this out real quick. Trying to narrow this in so y'all can see it a little bit better. Look at the season grades at the bottom. Chicago, 64.2. Chicago, 52.4. Chicago, 67.2. Chicago, 47.8. Chicago, Baltimore, 70.6. Baltimore, 80.1. So that's what I hope we see, Tim, with Quay Walker. Bro, I got the autographed jersey over here, and he is one of the most physically gifted linebackers in the entire league. If Jeff Hafley unlocks him, if Coach Campanile unlocks him, that's going to be – now, listen, he might get suspended a couple more games with Coach Camp coaching him up. But, hey, if you perform in the 80s, take a couple of days off. Just, take a couple games off with suspension. Just make sure you get your money's worth before you get suspended. You know what I'm saying?
I think Quay's head's in the game. I don't think that's going to happen. There were a couple – we watched a lot of tape last year. There were a lot of opportunities for him to fly off the handle like he did in his rookie year, and he didn't. He's cooler heads prevailed. And I also think there's some truth to the narrative that's out there about, well, let's take the green dot from Quay and let him just go play reckless and not have to think. Just go out and be aggressive and hit somebody, and you don't have to think. And it's like, dude, this is the NFL. Every player thinks on every play, on every down. The key is giving him the right things to think about and make sure he's thinking about the right things during his time on the field, rather than getting distracted, because you can't make a play if you're not in the right spot. And I think if you got him focused on, the mental aspect of where he needs to be thinking, where he needs to focus, he's going to improve so much more. We talked about Joe Barry's defense, right? Joe Barry's philosophy was, you guys are pros. You understand what I'm trying to do here. I trust you to go out there and just just feel it and play. Well, with young players, you can't. Maybe you're putting too much on a young linebacker like that. We don't need him out here diagnosing every minute detail of a play. He needs his assignment, needs to focus and just go out there and play hard. So I think Coach Hafley, Coach Camp, these guys, they're going to unlock Quay and get him really ready to go this year. It's going to be fun to see him in this system. Definitely.
Coach Lynn says that list is right until proven otherwise. That will change this year. Keep speaking it, Coach. I'm all about it. Prince says, Prince says, look to me in some of last year's games, Quay was playing quarterback spy. Absolutely. He was playing a lot of touch spy, which was really, he played some sugar spy and touch spy where he would get up in the A gap, mug the A gap. And on the sugar spy, it's just literally you're mugging the A gap and you drop into coverage. On that touch spy, you're mugging the A gap, you engage with the center, and then you drop back. But if you watch the games in which he did that, Chicago comes to mind, he was spying mobile quarterbacks. Justin Fields would see him drop into coverage and think, oh, I got this. And next thing you know, that was one of my favorite plays last year was Quay smacking him in the mouth and then leaning on him, getting up, and he was in his ear, bro. I actually put a video out on Twitter, I think it was, and I cropped it to where I zoomed way in, and you could see Quay right in his ear. I don't know what he was saying. Maybe he said, hey, man, I really like your shoes.
Yeah.
But it looked like he was angry to me. I don't know. So we'll see. Like I said, we'll see if it unlocks him this year. And then Coach Lynn said, I don't want Quay with the green dot. Let my boy just play fast and not think. Again, that's if Xavier McKinney comes in and he wears the green dot, I feel like that's the right move because he's got experience doing it. And he would feel comfortable doing that. Obviously, he wore the green dot. He played at a great level. Let Quay just go out there and just, like you said, though, Tim, I mean, there is a lot of thinking that goes in every play. It's not just, oh, no, I just run around, There's a lot of dissecting. I know Coach Lynn isn't saying that either, obviously.
No, absolutely. Get him thinking about the right things, right? Or like you always talk about if and then, right? As a linebacker, you're in those scenarios all the time, right? If this happens, then I do this. If this happens, I do that. Rather than trying to over anticipate, because then you get guys that'll cheat or they'll play themselves right out of position, which we've seen happen with Quay a couple of times. So I think it's just him getting focused on his assignment and what his role is going to be in this new 43. Like what is his role going to be? I think he's going to knock it out of the park with this staff, and I can't wait to see my boy Quay this year. I think he's going to talk about a guy who needs a year 3 step, right? I mean, he's definitely on that list too, just like Scoot and Sean Ryan, the guys we talked about earlier. It's all true. So it'll be fun to watch.
I like this one here. Prince in the chat says, Greg Joseph doesn't like to think too much out there, according to Greg Joseph. Smitty says, unlocking Quay with the potential of Cooper in the middle is an exciting prospect. And again, the one thing you've seen about Cooper on tape, start, stop, shoot, there is no hesitation in his game. Now, you may get burnt more often, right? But I think he's going to get a lot of tackles. That was another thing I want to look at, too, was depth of tackle. But obviously, we're way over on time here. I apologize, guys. But Quay's depth of tackle was down pretty far on the list, too. Edgerrin Cooper may miss tackles, but when he does make a tackle, don't be surprised if you hear Edgerrin Cooper tackle for a loss this year a lot, because I'm telling you, that's all over the Texas A&M tape. There's no doubt about that. So,
we're still going to need Quay to use his mentals, man. Even if he doesn't have that dot, he's still going to have to relay to the line, all that. So
absolutely.
And let's be real. I mean, it's his running or it's his linebacker room this year, guys. Like this is his room. So I'm looking for him to, make strides as a leader too. Let's not forget. I mean, the guy's a national champion, so he knows what winning a championship is all about. And you want guys like that in your locker room. So I think he's going to take multiple steps this year.
I'll tell you who we should pull out of retirement and put him at the linebacker position. This guy right here, man. You kidding me? If you imagine him out there playing a little touch spy. Let's go. Dude. Look at that right there. Jacob, look at my guy.
It's a beautiful.
That was my brother. I'm telling you, that was my brother's favorite Green Bay Packer. I can't believe somebody randomly pulled him up in the chat last night, brung him up, and I was
that was me who brought up Grady Jackson.
Was it you?
Yeah.
So, it was so random.
Actually, it may have been.
Now, okay.
I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
It was me.
Affam. I think it may have been Affam. Whatever.
Whoever it was just wild with the week I've had. That was like my brother couldn't name hardly anybody on the Packers roster because he wasn't a Packer fan. He knew I was, but every time he seen Grady, he's like, man, I love that dude, Grady Jackson. He's missing a front tooth. He's about 400 pounds. He's just always laughing, having fun, but he's mean on the field. It's pretty cool. Kind of a God thing, but that's just me. I could be wrong. So, all right. Anything else, fellas? We're way over. I apologize. Please apologize to your wife, Tim. Emilio, apologize to Jordan. Jacob, apologize to all of them. Okay. But anyway, anything else, fellas?
Nah.
No.
All right, cool. Appreciate y'all, man. This was a lot of fun for sure. We'll be back tomorrow, 7 p.m. Central Time for another PTA Live. Like I said, we got some games in the hopper if we need to lean on them. But, man, everybody's churning out articles. Shout out to PFF. Those are great articles. Obviously, Paul Brettel continues to do the Lord's work here in the offseason. We appreciate him. But, Tim, help me out here, man, if you don't care.
For those of you listening on the pod,
thank you for making us a part of your day. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world. And go Pack Go.